Bonjour à tous et bienvenue dans ce nouveau numéro de Makila, ici à l'aéroport de Sion. Aujourd'hui, on va vous parler d'un des aspects les plus extrêmes de l'aviation, la voltige. L'avion qui se trouve derrière moi est un extra 200. Avec ses 200 chevaux et sa maniabilité exceptionnelle, c'est l'un des avions les plus performants de Suisse romande. À ses commandes, on retrouve Fred, qui va nous parler de sa passion pour la troisième dimension.
Exactement pas.
When I had a plane in my hands as a child, I could barely keep it flying flat. When I started with my training at 18, I felt a lack not to be able to play with it as I wanted. I kept this frustration for some years until I could participate in a one-week aerobatics camp with a friend. I started with my training at Sion. As there were no aerobatic planes there, I had to expatriate to Bec. Very early, the plane at Bec became too limited for the figures I was doing. Hence I found a club at Ecuviance that had a more suitable plane with more performance for the manoeuvres I wanted to do. The in-flight feelings are extraordinary, physically and visually. One doesn't really know if one is spinning around the globe or if it's the planet that spins around us. The moment you begin to succeed making good figures, good programs are an enormous satisfaction. Many people think that one must be a little bit crazy to do aerobatics, while aerobatics is exactly the opposite. It's learning how to master a plane in all its flying specifications and to do extremely precise maneuvers. Contrary to airline pilots, we do not use instruments that much. We will find our way thanks to small triangles which are fixed to the tips of the wings. For a 45-degree climb, we will try to line up the 45 degrees bar of the triangle to the horizon. It's the same for the 90 degrees climb. We line up the vertical bar to the landscape. I work in an engineering company. We do heating, ventilation and air conditioning. I'm a technician. We deal with the financial and technical aspects. We plan, we coordinate and we manage human relationships. The main quality which is required with aerobatics and with my job is to have very good spatial vision. We're happy to come back to the ground sometimes. It's a very physical sport. There are many accelerations. One must have a good life balance, doing some sport and eating some healthy food. The most important thing to me is training and flying on a regular basis. One could compare aerobatics to a roller coaster. There are accelerations called G, which can be positive or negative. 1 G corresponds to the normal weight on Earth. In a loop, we can reach high accelerations, up to 4 G. An 80-kilo pilot will weigh 320 kilos. We are crushed into our seat. All the parts of our body are extremely heavy. It's difficult to raise an arm. The negative Gs are very similar, but we are upside down. We are hanging in our harnesses instead of being crushed into the seat. Instead of going into the legs, the blood accumulates in the brain. These Gs are much more difficult to stand because we aren't used to them. Aerobatics is my main flying activity, but I do other things, like travelling abroad. I also tow gliders. Towing consists of attaching a glider to a plane and taking it as high and as fast as possible. Towing requires a lot of concentration because in the valley we fly very close to the mountains. As gliders, we often fly in big gatherings, and the main danger is collision with another aircraft. This activity is a good training opportunity, but it can be very tiring. Climbing at 2,000 meters and diving back in 2 or 3 minutes up to 20 times a day is tough on the body. Indeed, my friends are often very passionate. We have many connections between us. We try to reunite when a friend marries or celebrates something special and try to organize something. There was a friend who got married at Beh Airfield. We met with several other pilots to say hello. We did a fly past. Some parts were tricky. We finished the show with an aerobatics program. Yes, it was great fun. I was attracted by fencing when I was young. I started practicing at the age of 10 or 12. Perhaps some films influenced me. It's a sport that immediately gives some pleasure. Both aerobatics and fencing are technical sports. They require a lot of concentration. There is a fighting aspect at fencing. We also have to fight with the plane when we start doing aerobatics. The more you fly, the less you need to fight.
Au fur et à mesure des entraînements, ce côté combatif diminue.
Aerobatics is relatively safe. Accidents are very rare. Taking off and landing remain the most dangerous phases of the flight. Many passengers have some concerns before flying. Indeed, they board a plane to the unknown. Many of them simply fear being sick. In fact, each passenger has their own rhythm. Some will fly for 20 minutes, others for 30 or 40. The most important thing for me is to give pleasure to the passenger and that they don't need to use the sick bag. Most passengers who had to use the sick bag, and it's very, very rare, have had to because they didn't want to stop the flight at the right time. The planes I can fly at the moment are extraordinary. Of course, it would be the top if I could fly some Cap 232 or Sukhoi, but okay, I have to remain wise. This is a Sukhoi 31, a Russian-made plane. It's more or less the top level for aerobatics. It belongs to the category of aircraft that will burst after the pilot has already died. Flying it must be wonderful. It requires lots and lots of training. Botching a maneuver can be physically very, very painful. Yes, the neck and the spine can be very painful. Indeed, I have about 900 flight hours. I achieved many things and experienced a lot of pleasure. One cannot live these feelings anywhere else. It's a mix of a roller coaster, of wonderful landscapes, of strong feelings. It's so different from everything one can experience on the ground. My big dream is simply to be able to continue to do what I'm doing now, as long as I can. And why not buy an aerobatics plane with some friends?
Nous acheter un avion de voltige ou pourquoi pas un autre.
Merci de votre fidélité, volez prudemment et à plus.